Wow, that's mad.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Louis, and we're back for a Transfer Central. It's normally Charlie, but I'm stepping in today since it's Monday. It's my time to shine on this one. And apparently, the home of breaking Liverpool news. We had topics lined up. We had Bellingham, we had Otavio, we had Dembele, we had all sorts. But in the last few moments, a tweet from a very reliable person has said that Asensio has offers from Liverpool and AC Milan. Apparently, don't quote me on this, apparently it's super reliable. Apparently there are offers in place for Asensio. How far along that is, whether that's an agreement with Real Madrid, whether that's just personal terms, who knows? But there is something. There's something there. This was not just another rumour. There is something there in this one. I'm joined for today's Transfer Central by Matty, Arnov and Anthony. We will dive straight into it, but first of all, I've got to check up on the boys. Matty, how are you doing this evening?
Not bad. I've seen United are back in training, so it's got me excited to see the Reds back, to be honest with you, and see how some of the new lads kick on. And I'm excited to see Nunes. Really excited.
Absolutely. It's not long now before we're back underway, and only 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks until we're back in pre-season action. First game against Man United, and a live watch along will be here for you guys on this channel. So make sure you do stick around if you are new by liking and subscribing to the channel. Arnov, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Loving life at the moment. It's 2:30 here where I am in St. Lucia. So yeah, I'm getting some sun in, and all this news has got me excited, especially for the pre-season starting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the pain of Liverpool in a transfer window. Just as it seems like it's all died out and we're not, there's nothing else happening, they reel you back in with something like this. So we'll see if there's any legs to it or not. And finally, Anthony, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well, Louis. You know what? Ever since the season ended when we lost the Champions League, I was just like, I wanted a break from football, man. It is just too much. The game every 3 or 4 days. But sitting here doing nothing, I just can't wait for it to be back on. And like you're saying, pre-season starts in a couple of weeks, so it should be exciting.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever been so excited for a pre-season before, because it means that we get to crank up our content again. We will get into all of the stories. TS says, utter nonsense. The Otavio rumours come from very reliable sources. Asensio is definitely a lot of Liverpool player. So we've got different beliefs on that one. We'll get into it straight away. We will start with that breaking news. We're all a bit flabbergasted by it, so I'm not going to hold out on you guys. We'll get straight into it. Asensio has offers from Liverpool and AC Milan, according to the Madrid zone, according to Melka Ruiz Cope. Definitely didn't say that right, but we move. Matty, it's been touted for a while. We've spoken about it a few times on the channel. Asensio, what do we think? Is he somebody that we should be in for?
Don't like him, to be honest. Don't think he's adding that much to the midfield. I think all our fans are going to go mad because they just want to see a signing. But I've thought about it the last few days and thought Luis Diaz was realistically a summer signing and stuff. So I don't think he adds much to us. The sources look like they are a lot more reliable than the Otavio ones. The Otavio ones came from strong sources in Portugal. Well, I think Pretty Goal is probably one of the best in Portugal, isn't it? And they didn't say anything about it. Where this is a tier 1 Real Madrid source that's saying it. I think if he has got offers from Liverpool and AC Milan, he'd be a fool to go to AC Milan when Liverpool are in and around every competition this year. So you'd expect the same next year. But I don't think he adds much to the team. I'd rather wait for Jude Bellingham.
Well, he could always end up playing alongside Divock Origi. I think that's reason enough to maybe consider AC Milan. But, you know, of course, you know, you would think Liverpool, if this is all true, we would be now the favourites to land his signature. Arnov, he's someone, we've looked at him before on this channel. We found that at least at Real Madrid, he is much more deployed as a winger rather than a central midfielder. A lot of people seem to believe that he is a decent central midfielder. Is he the right profile for us? You know, we've brought in Luis Diaz, we've brought in Darwin Núñez, we've got Fabio Carvalho. It seems like our attack is actually in a very healthy place. do we need someone like Asensio, who seems to be primarily a winger, seems to be primarily someone who would line up in the attack, but can he do a job in a Liverpool midfield?
No, I don't think so. I agree with Matty, especially with the point on him playing on the right. Like with Asensio, it's always been when he started his career at Real Madrid, you thought there's something there, there's like a good prodigy, but he's never really kicked on. And though last season he did play a few games and a lot of games actually, 31 with about 10 goals. I just don't think he's what we need, especially under a Jurgen Klopp type system. He wouldn't be a player that I would have thought we were ever going to be like strongly linked with, but as the sources seem reliable and more reliable than the Otavio source, it could be something. But I'm not a huge fan of Asensio, even work rate rise as well. But I just don't think he is the answer to our problems at the moment.
Anthony, another dimension to this potential transfer is the fact that we know that our business is very close to being done, if not already done, and Oluwu kind of alludes to that. If we were to get Asensio, that is absolutely it, isn't it? Like, we are putting all of our chips on Asensio being the answer to the midfield. I'm not convinced. Are you? Is he the answer?
He's not. I think what Matty was saying earlier, that he doesn't really add any quality on top of what we've already got. If we're signing these players, it's like, I'm not comparing him to Chamberlain, but he's another one of those players where you play him start him in the odd match, but is he going to start? Are you going to win a title with him playing 38 matches a season? Definitely not. And there's a reason why Rumours probably don't want to renew his contract as well. I just think Bellingham's the one. We've got to wait out for him. If there is another option out there, then go for him. But same with Otavio. I don't really like these rumours that are coming around. I know it's a midfielder, but just get the best one available. And if that's Bellingham and you got to wait a season, then the best option is to wait.
Yeah, I mean, Matty, I know that this is, again, coming from a potentially very reliable source, but none of these players that we've been linked to recently seem to fit the profile of player that we're going for. I mean, Charlie says Mo Salah competition, won't say no to that. But in that Neil Jones article, which came out today, and that's where a lot of the stories that we're talking about today will come from, it says that the feeling at present within the Liverpool camp is that the perfect midfielder simply isn't available, and as such, it should surprise nobody if Liverpool choose to keep their powder dry. For me, we'd only be bringing in Asensio to be a versatile option who can either fill in the front or play in midfield. But again, why would we? It's not the kind of person that we go for, a stopgap, someone to fill in here and there. Like all of the people that we sign are at least with the intention of turning them into first team starters. No,
you'd think so. Yeah, I was quite surprised. I've just looked through his stats, to be fair, and they're really, really, really good. He is 26. We fit that profile of players we will buy. But Charlie's comment about the Salah competition, I think that's what we would be buying for. But then I'd like to see Elliott out there, to be honest. And the only thing that worries me about him is per 90, he's only attempting 10 pressures, which Liverpool are a very high working side. So I just don't know if his laziness would fit in. But then with him being only 26, that's the profile player that Liverpool would target. And then it's being leaked that we may sell Salah. I just would hope that we're going to sell Salah and he's going to start, because that's just going to be a nightmare.
I mean, Arnov, do you see that as a likelihood? For my money, I think Salah stays, plays out his final year, and goes. This isn't some fever dream we're living in, is it?
You can't let him go for nothing, though.
I think Salah will stay, but even like the talks of Otavio, who predominantly played as well on the right hand side, and there's a lot more defensive. It could be an option Jurgen's looking at into to cover Trent a bit more. But I don't think Salah will leave this summer. And if he does, Asensio or Otavio, I don't think they're the options that would excite me too much, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, we've seen links to Dembele as well, but I don't know. I think at the moment it seems a bit like Asensio. I don't think he's a man. And Otavio, his stats haven't really shone out as someone that's played amazingly throughout last season. So.
Anthony, what's your feeling on this one? Do we sign him? Does it just, what does it feel like to you? Does it feel like we're in for him? Does it just feel like a load of noise? Because again, I just find this all very, very bizarre. This type of player, I know he's 26, but does he really still have that much room to grow and turn into a world-class player?
I can't see it happening. I think there's always those couple of players who always get linked with us just to get a transfer elsewhere, maybe get a high price tag from another club. Like there's always Marco Reus used to be linked with us, Turan. He's another one. I'm pretty sure we were linked with Asensio a few years back as well, but I don't know. Especially taking Salah's place, and no chance. He's just not good enough to start for us. And as I was saying, if he's mainly a right winger, and Real Madrid literally moved Valverde out of position to put him right wing, so Asensio can't play for him, it says it all. And is he good enough to replace Salah, one of the best players in the world? Definitely not. And same with the midfield. I think we need more of a box-to-box midfielder. Obviously, went for Tchouaméni, didn't get him. So Bellingham's the next one. I know we keep banging on about it, Bellingham, but that's the quality we need. And signing these random players like Asensio, it just won't improve us.
Just from our group chat, I can see that Jack said, I just want a signing, low risk, high rewards. Matty, is that a positive spin on this potential transfer? Low risk, high reward?
Nah, not really. I'm not one of them who just wants to see people sign for us, to be honest, because I feel like then that's eating into the wage budget that Jude Bellingham may need when he come. I honestly believe if we didn't make another sign this summer, I think we'd be all right. Even if the Ox gets off because he doesn't play. So I think we'd be okay, to be honest. Is the midfield weak? Yeah, definitely. But I'd rather wait, and Liverpool will wait. And I'm not one of them who just wants to see a sign. And I think Liverpool have recruited well this summer, to be fair. And then you could maybe even play Calvin Ramsey at right back and play Trent in midfield some games and see how that works. And you've got options there, to be fair. You've got Joe Gomez, who can cover right back as well. And I think that Liverpool are going to change the system anyway this year, getting Núñez. So I don't just want to see a signing, but I don't like Asensio at all. I don't think he comes in and offers anything. So it's a waste of money, a waste of wages. I'd rather just save it towards Bellingham. Like Charlie just said, 25 million is a good deal. But then the way I look at it is that's 25 FSG are minge bags. So that's 25 million out of the 100 million we're going to need for Jude Bellingham. That's how you got to think as a Liverpool fan. If we had all the money in the world, I'd say, yeah, sound. He's good for the bench. Like that's how City would think. But for Liverpool, you're thinking, oh, that's into Jude Bellingham's kit. He's spending that much money.
I'll tell you what, if we're thinking of him as a right winger as opposed to potentially becoming more active in the midfield, then why the hell did we not just keep Minamino? Why couldn't we just find a way to make him happy? His scoring rate is phenomenal. Why are we selling him for 17 and then bringing in a replacement for 25 to fight it out with Salah? There's only going to be one winner in that situation for the next season, and Asensio's not going to become, unless I'm really mistaking his qualities, I don't see him going on to become, a new Salah, a prime goal scoring machine for us for the next 5 years or so. But maybe that's just me. Get all of your thoughts in the comments, everybody who is watching. Thank you for joining us. We can always circle back to this later on in the stream, but make sure you are liking the video. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel if you are new as well. It really helps us out. And we'll be here every night, 7:30 for all your Liverpool news. We've got plenty more to discuss, though. So we'll move on for a little bit now. According to Diaro Sport, the entourage of Ousmane Dembele has spoken with Liverpool, although Xavi is pushing to keep him. Arnov, let's have a little refresh, because similar to Asensio, we've been linked to Dembele for years, it feels like. Again, does this feel right? Anytime we get linked to a forward player, what's the point? What's the point with the numbers that we've got in that position already?
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think in this time, I reckon it is looking to the future and looking for a potential replacement. And Dembele, although he's got a lot of injury problems and also stories about his attitude may be an issue, but I think when Jurgen signed him from Rennes for Dortmund, he must have saw the spark in him, and I think that Usman probably has a respect for Jurgen that he can only kindle with him. So I think it's a more of a marquee signing than Otavio or Asensio. But the only issue would be his wages, of course, and his attitude does seem to stink as well at Barcelona. But obviously, since funny enough, since he got married, his record for Barcelona in the second half of the season was amazing. But of course, the injuries and the attitude problems off the field may be a big cause for concern. But if Jurgen can get the best out of him, I'm sure we got a very good player on his hands. And he's only 25 years old, so could be a top 4 success.
Yeah, I take your point, but Anthony, again, this just doesn't feel right to me. Consider, we're not. I wouldn't say we're lacking in the forward department. I mean, maybe you could argue we do need an out-and-out backup or someone to fight Salah for his place, but I don't know. It just feels like we've got too many numbers in that fighting over too few positions already.
It does feel like that, but I think looking at last season, we had the sort of perfect amount of cover. We had Minamino and Origi, who I wouldn't say could start for us regularly, but they're good enough to sort of make that squad play in the cup matches, and obviously both of them have left now, so you wonder who's going to take those spots up. And I'm not saying Dembele is rubbish enough to be only starting those matches, but if it's for free, why not take him? But I remember like Arnov was saying that there's stories about his attitude. I think he was late for training because he was on his PS4 one time or something like that. But yeah, you never know. I'd take him for free, but if he breaks our wage structure, then hell no. I don't think he's sort of that player that will take us to the next level. But like I was saying, if it's for free, then why not?
I mean, I'm just looking through some of the replies to the tweet about Dembele, and I feel like I'm in the minority. A lot of people are saying we just need to get him through the door. What's your feelings on that? And his injury record as well, that's a big thing. Has that gotten any better, do we know, or is he still plagued by that?
I'd take him. Honestly. If I asked you what was the best Dembele you've ever saw, you'd say Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund Dembele, wouldn't you? So if anyone can get the best out of Dembele, it's Jurgen Klopp, as proven. Jurgen Klopp made him into that £100+ million player. Injury record doesn't concern me because we seem to have, whoever that people are we brought in to work with injured players. Kaiser has only missed, I think, 2 games through actual injury. I think he's had COVID and that. And Matty's completed the whole season without injury. So I do think we've got the right people who could work with Dembele. I'd take him over Asensio, to be honest with you, purely based on the fact that Jurgen Klopp loves him. We know that. Last time Klopp worked with him, he became that 100+. I don't know the exact figure. It was stupid money, though, wasn't it? And I do think he probably would take a pay cut to work with Klopp again. If anyone can revitalise that man's career, it's Jurgen Klopp, because he made him into the player that everyone thought he was anyway.
Again, Daddy Pig says with rotation, Dembele would be a really good signing. Arnov, like I said with Asensio, though, in the context of the transfer setup that we live in, if there was any truth to this, if we were to try and get him in, that would be the last signing this summer. There's always a person that you would take. So, we all feel like we need a midfielder. If we have to get anybody this window, it needs to be a midfielder. But of course, if you offered us Mbappe and no midfielder, we'd take bloody Mbappe. Is Dembele in that sort of line of thinking for you? Would you say, do you know what? All right, fine. I'll wait next year until maybe Bellingham, maybe whoever, if we get Dembele through the door.
I think so. I agree with Matty, to be honest. I think Dembele is a marquee signing, and if we were to get him, I think even revenue for the club as well, he'd be an attraction. And if he can revitalise the form that he was at under Klopp at Dortmund, which I think he can. He's only 25 years old. If he just settles down and puts his foot down, I think he can turn into a really, really, really good player. But definitely over Asensio and even Otavio, Dembele would be a player that it'd be a joy to have him. World Cup winner, and he's got a long time to go as well. And under the mentorship of Jurgen Klopp, he could revitalize him into even a 15, 20 goal a season winger potentially. But again, one of the only issues I think as well, since he went to Barcelona, he's never started over 20 games. But if our injury record shows with the players we've transformed, he should be okay. But that is the only issue, I think, his transfer issue, his injury issue.
Charlie's just ruined me there in the comments, hasn't he? I
was going to bring it up, yeah.
I thought he played on the clock, me. Matt?
Yeah, so Charlie's just educated us and said Klopp has never actually worked with Dembele. He joined Dortmund.
Why is he liking so much then, just from what he's heard about him and that?
Didn't he sign him? I thought he signed him.
Ooh, you're testing all our knowledge now. Charlie, again, Pulisic played under him for a little bit, and of course that's someone else that we have on and off been linked to, but I'm not sure how much legs that has to it. Again, thank you everybody who is watching and or just joining. Please do like the video, it really helps us out. If you are new, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. This is the best place to be for all your Liverpool content, especially in the build up to the new season, which will have all the content you could ever need. We've got pre-season, the upcoming season, all the cups, all the reaction, everything you need. So do press that subscribe button. So we're going off of the Neil Jones article, which came out earlier today. Plenty of news about that. But of course, there was also the rumours linking us to Otavio from Porto. It looked like maybe we were going to take another dip into the Portuguese league, Matty. Of course, we've taken well, it looked like Southampton were our feeder club. Now we've switched to just Portugal, and they're our feeder league. Of course, more information has come out about that. Fabrizio Romano has basically shut it all down. But, you know, is the 27-year-old maybe a good example of a stopgap that we could have signed to tie us over for the next couple of seasons?
Potentially, yeah, and I wouldn't believe too much what Fabrizio Romano says, to be honest with you, because he's a bad tapping merchant. So he said people aren't going to sign before, and they have signed. I'm sure he said Thiago weren't going to sign. Like, he just taps everything in. So, I mean, I'm not saying we're in for him. He did look as a good option. I seen a few tweets of his stats in like the spider graph forms on Twitter from Stan Maguire. It was amazing, and his stats looked really good. So his age is worrying, but then we signed Thiago at 29. So we will buy players if we want at that age. But I think he would be a good stopgap. I think he certainly adds another option to the midfield this summer. But I just don't know. There's too much talk of us not bringing anyone in. But then I think back to when we got Thiago and that everyone said that wasn't happening, and then he signed. No one knows nothing. No in the nose on Twitter, no anything. The only people who know is the club. But I'd like to see another midfielder in, and I did like the look of Otavio, to be honest with you. Can't say I've seen too much of him, but if you base it purely on stats, which don't lie, he did look like a decent stopgap option, to be honest.
I mean, Anthony, I'm not going to pretend to be an in the know on Otavio or pretend that I've particularly watched any of his games, but going off of some of those, that graph that Matty was talking about, I mean, he's fantastic in terms of ball recoveries completed in the opponent's half, final third passes attempted in the opponent's half. He's someone who is dynamic, who could play that right-sided 8, could help out in the attack as well. He seems like he's another one of those very dynamic players who could fit in multiple positions. And that's kind of, if we were to go after someone, that's what we'd want, isn't it? Someone who is, Bellingham maybe would be more of a specialist who would make that number 8 position his own. But it feels like that's a generational talent. He gets to do that. But for anybody else coming into the club, they need to be able to play in different positions, don't they?
Yeah, I think if he were to sign, he's not going to get thrown straight into that starting 11. But I know everyone's on the Bellingham train just as much as me, but I still think Keita's going to nail himself down as a starter. Obviously, last season he was injured for 2 matches. He wasn't injured often. I've got a video coming out on Keita soon on the channel, and his stats is impressive. I'll tell you that against the top 6, he's only lost like once whenever he started against them, and he's just a big game player. I think we saw it against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final, where that Fabinho, Thiago and Keita midfield was just incredible. And The only issue with Otavio, I just don't think we need that many midfielders now. I don't want to steal Matty's limelight for Curtis Jones, but I think he's an incredible player as well. Maybe this is a season he has his breakthrough. I think a couple of cup matches over the past couple of years, he's looked like the sort of mature one. He knows what he's doing on the pitch, get the ball to him. So maybe he can make his breakthrough into the starting 11 as well, and maybe in contention to actually start matches for us regularly. But same with Elliott as well and Carvalho. You know, we've already got these great young players, so I don't think we need to add that much more sort of rotational players to the midfield already. I don't think depth is the issue; it's just quality in the midfield, and that's why I think we're so hooked on Bellingham.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I mean, Matty, I'm going to let you sort of talk about your boy Curtis Jones in a minute. I feel like a lot of people have written him, Keita, and to some extent Harvey Elliott. I feel like since he came back from that injury, he didn't instantly light the world on fire. So I think a lot of people have just kind of forgotten what potential he has, or maybe think that he won't be able to show that for 2-3 years down the line. But Naby Keita, I mean, I feel like that shot in the Champions League final towards the end that blazed into Rosette, I feel like that's just been burned into everyone's memory. And as soon as you mention Naby Keita, that's all anyone can think about. But let's be real, you know, he's never been exactly what we expected, but I feel like that's just a Klopp midfield. That's what Klopp's idea of the midfield has done to him. We were never going to see, you know, that marauding player that we thought we were getting from Leipzig, because that's just not what he demands. It's a much more nuanced, subtle game in a Klopp midfield. But Matty, talk to me, because before we came on, you were saying, you know, I'm not sure about this whole Otavio or Asensio stuff. I still feel like Curtis Jones has a big role to play.
Yeah, I don't understand why all of our fan base hates him, to be honest with you, because, you know, when you look at him, like, his pressures, for example, Liverpool are a high-press team. Against other players in his position in world football, he's in the 85th percentile. So he's in the top 85% of players in the world for successful pressures. And in the attack and third, he's in the top 98% of players in the world for attack and pressures. So what he offers, I think if you look at his performances against Arsenal, was it in the Cup? Brentford as well. He was fantastic, and he has got that to offer. He's still, people write him off because he's been in and around the first team since he was about 16, 17. He's still only 21. He's still a kid. He's not meant to be playing every week. He's meant to fill in them stopgaps. And I think with Carvalho, Elliott, and Jones, if they rotate the minutes between them, we've got an exciting future. But if we're going to go into a 4-2-3-1, which looks likely, then we don't need anyone anyway, because in the one, you've got, you can play that. You've got Nunes, Bobby, Salah, Carvalho has played it for Fulham. Then in the three, you've got Jones, Elliott, Henderson can play attacking. You've got who else? Carvalho, Diaz, Jota, Salah. And then in the double pivot, you've got Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, Milner, who can all play in that. So then you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, it's not that bad of an option. And Haley, I would be disappointed for Curtis Jones if he wasn't a Scouser, because there was a tweet on Twitter before of Curtis Jones' highlight reel, and someone said if he wasn't at Liverpool fans would be tweeting this up in arms saying sign him. He's still a kid. People are expecting him to come and set the world alight. He's still a kid. He's not meant to be playing every game. He's not meant to be in the first team week in, week out. People say, well, Trent was. Trent's a generational talent. Curtis Jones isn't generational. But them generational talents are few and far between. You've got like Mbappe, Haaland, Bellingham, Trent. You're being realistic. They're the 4 generational young talents in world football at the minute, out of every team in the world. Curtis Jones is a fantastic squad option, and it does make it bittersweet that he is Scouse, because you want the Scouse lads to do well. And do I believe he's good enough to be an option for Liverpool, a depth option, which you'd be happy doing, and being the Scouser representing the fans on the pitch 100%. You go and watch that highlight video. If his name was like Curtis Barista or something like that from Mad Country, everyone would be going, sign him up. He's unbelievable. He turns players inside out. People don't remember that, because they want him to just meg people and score screamers. Liverpool's midfield don't score screamers ever. When the Liverpool have any goals from the midfield, they never have. It's an attacking goal team. Ronaldo bagged for Holland all the time and never ever bagged for Liverpool, because he's not meant to. That midfield's the workhorse of the team. So Curtis Jones isn't meant to be bagging goals. He isn't meant to be skimming players. He's meant to be controlling the game when he's in midfield, and he has shown signs of that. And he's still a kid. He's 21. He's not going to set the world alight. He's like, why is everyone still saying get rid of him? If we got rid of him, look at Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. He went to Palace. Now Chelsea got a player on their hands, and he'll probably start for them this year. If you sell Curtis Jones to stay Villa or Palace or something like that, and he lights the Prem up, you're going to be like, oh, why did we sell him? We're stupid. So just accept that you've got a phenomenal young talent in the side and go and look at his stats. His stats are stupid. They're ridiculous. He's in above 80%, 80th percentile in world football in his position. And I'd say about 75% of his stats.
I mean, Arnov, I'd like to get your thoughts on the midfield because, you know, it's hard to break through all the noise. If you look on Twitter for more than 5 minutes, it's, you know, we need a midfielder. If we don't sign a midfielder, you know, you just know any failures this coming season are going to be attributed to that point. You know, if we get dumped out of the Carabao Cup, it's because we didn't sign a midfielder. If we don't do as well in Europe, it's because we didn't sign a midfielder. If we lose out on the Premier League by a point again or goal difference, it'll be because we didn't sign a midfielder. So they've got it all ready, but, and I hope I haven't just called you out if that's your opinion, Arnov, but let me know what is your thoughts on this. Do we absolutely need to get one? Or can the likes of Elliot Jones, Carvalho step in?
The thing is, though, everyone as well talks about like saying like, oh, you should give kids a chance. You should invest in the academy. You want the academy to do well.
Yeah.
And then when kids do well, you're like,
and now we have the chance.
Yeah, go on, Arnov.
No, I totally agree with Matty. I think the numbers we've got in midfield are quite a few, and it's not like we don't have the quality. Like you mentioned, Fab, Thiago, Henderson that could play in a double pivot. Then attacking, we've got even more options. I don't think adding an Otavio for about 40 million would be the option. Like I think just wait it out for Jude next summer or whenever we're going to get him, and that would be great because I think if we spend money now, it will give FSG more of a chance to just delay Jude Bellingham, or even maybe potentially even lose out on him. There's other teams that link with him as well. So I think we just got to wait it out and get the right player. And we know Jurgen, he never likes rushing into a signing, never make like a rush signing. So I think as long as we can wait and get the man, which is Jude, then I don't think we need anyone else. We've got numbers in the midfield, and Curtis and Harvey are two great players that will get more minutes next season. And it's going to be fascinating to see how they do because I'm sure they'll play well. Like whenever they've stepped in, they've played the game the way Jurgen's wanted them to play it. They've never looked out of place, which is what you that's all you want for a young kid. So hopefully with Fabio as well coming in, I think it should be we should be all right in the midfield.
I mean, Anthony, I don't know whether this is a genuine comment, bearing in mind everything that's just been said, but Ahmed says if we don't get Jude, we're effed. Well, we all know what that means. But you know, I know we all probably most of us think that he's close to, if not a potentially generational talent. But there's still no guarantee that he would be a absolute success, is there? You know, he is a kid. He's younger than Curtis Jones. He's about the same age as Harvey Elliott. He's coming from a league that, from what I've seen, isn't that great anymore. It's not what people think it is. It is a farmers' league, just a bit more glossed up than Ligue 1. You know, can we really be that certain and just completely discount everybody else that we've got in midfield? I mean, by all accounts, it seems that unless someone comes in for Oxlade-Chamberlain, we're more than happy to keep him. And that sounds like that's Jurgen Klopp saying that. And we've got Carvalho coming in. We've got Curtis and Jones there as well. Have we got enough in that department?
I don't think so. I'm still in agreement with the comment there. I don't think it's going to be a massively successful season if we don't get a midfielder. And it's not saying we don't have the quality. I just think that when we see Thiago, Fabinho, Keita, they still get injured. And when you look at the replacements, it's Henderson, then we'll start James Milner. Like we started James Milner and Henderson at Stamford Bridge this season. I think we've gone past that point now where we need to actually start playing the quality players. We had Naby Keita on the bench, but I don't know, man. I still think we need another midfielder. Who knows? Maybe Jones and Elliott could prove us wrong. And, you never know. Like Matty was saying, we could change to 4-2-3-1 and we're sorted then. I don't think we need another midfielder if we do play that formation. Thiago, Fabinho in that too, and then just whoever really in the front four, then will be sorted. But yeah, as it stands, if we do stick to 4-3-3, and we're gonna kind of, I don't know, we're cutting it short again with the title. I know we lose out by one or 2 points every season, but the reason we do cut out by that amount is because we don't have enough quality depth. And look at the matches we dropped points in. I think Keita didn't drop a single point this season. He started in. Same with Thiago. The matches we did drop points in, it was Chamberlain started all of them. Or the matches we lost. Sorry. So there's an area for improvement, and we need to address it. And that's what cost us trophies over the past couple of seasons.
Hyla again with a great comment says, if we wait 1 year for a possible Bellingham signing, what are we doing this season? Only 2 midfielders played more than 50% of the games this season. I mean, Matty, I'm always of the opinion that you can't sign players with the expectation that someone's going to get injured and you'll be in an injury crisis and you need someone to step in. I don't think you can operate a squad that way, because then you get discontent if there aren't any injuries, which is what you're hoping for. But, you know, if we talk about that potential double pivot, or what we've basically got now anyway, if Fabinho or Thiago or both of them get injured, or one gets injured, one gets ill, we're looking at Henderson. But then we probably are looking at James Milner coming back in again. And it always comes back to bite us. He always comes on and, you know, does a fair enough job, gets a yellow card, but does okay. But one season, it's just not going to be enough, is it? And are we getting to that stage now?
I'm not worried, you know. And before I go into it, the reason that Jurgen Klopp subs on Jones before the Ox tells you all you need to know on that one, Charlie. But last summer, everyone was panicking, saying, because we'd only just finished in the top 4 spaces. I know we ended up finishing 3rd, but we just scraped it. And we went out and only signed Canate whilst letting like Wijnaldum and Shaqiri and stuff go. And everyone was saying, "Oh, we're going to struggle this season without letting these go and not replacing them." And then we got to a Champions League final, won the 2 domestic cups, and took the league the last day of the season. So if anyone knows the team best than anyone, it's Jurgen Klopp. So if he is happy with this squad, and the Ox, by the way, I do think he's going, but you don't come out and say we want him to go. You come out and say we want to keep him, because then when clubs come in and try and lowball you with like an £8 million offer, you can say no, we want to keep him. Then they say 15, and the club go, all right then. It's not going to say they want to sell him. It's all mind games to get more money. They're not going to ever say they want to sell him. I mean, the Ox, but that's another debate. But I do think that if you look at who we brought in this summer, like Diaz ultimately was Mane's long-term replacement. He's a left winger. The minute he come in, Mane couldn't play left wing. Now, Mane was phenomenal as a false nine, but he was forced into that position by the arrival of Luis Diaz, and he was meant to come this summer. So he was always Mane's replacement. Mane probably always knew he was going. So if you take that into account, we brought Diaz, Ramsey, Carvalho, and Nunes in. Now, Nunes is a goal scorer. Carvalho, I think a lot of fans are sleeping on. And we've only let go this summer Mane, really. Like, and Origi didn't play. Karius and all that never ever got a game. So, like, we've strengthened this summer massively. Luis Diaz just came as a coincidence in January, but Darwin Núñez, I don't think Jurgen Klopp would spend that much money if he was going to flop. I think he knows he's going to be unbelievable. So he's going to come in and score goals. Carvalho was one of the best players in the Championship last season, and he's a kid. It shows how good he is. So I think he's going to come in and set the world alight. And Calvin Ramsey's going to cover Trent. So we didn't need to improve the defence. The midfield does need improvement. But if someone says to me, buy a stopgap now and don't get Jude Bellingham, or wait, don't buy anyone and get Jude Bellingham next year, I'll wait. But like Jude Bellingham, although he's still a kid, if you look at him, he is unbelievable. If you buy Jude Bellingham for even 80 million, he's only what? How old is he? 18
still, isn't he? Yeah.
So you're getting at least 15 years out of him. At least. Like he's worth the weight in gold. And if he's not, he's English tax, you can just sell him off.
I mean, Arnov, I could see you getting very animated there. Give me your thoughts on what Matty's just said.
Yeah, no, I think it's totally true. I was just surprised when you said he's 18. I thought he was at 19, 20 by now. But wow, that's insane. Yeah.
No, we're losing you,
we need
Arnov.
To strengthen with only Jude. And as I mentioned earlier, Jurgen only picks players that for example, like Taki. Yeah, there is a couple players that may not have worked out, but I think Jurgen does prepare for the future, and thus in signing Jude, he'd be a player that would fill the gap in, and he'd be the rock in the midfield and the player that we build a team around anyway. So I think buying a stopgap like Otavio or someone like that, I don't think it's what Jurgen would do, to be honest. And the FSG, it might be an issue with FSG even then buying Bellingham next season. So I think we wait it out. We've got enough in the tank. Just wait it out for Bellingham.
Yeah, we just about caught what your general gist there. You were cutting out a little bit, but yeah, we got what you were saying. Anthony, I feel like whenever I come on here and I take Charlie's place on transfer set, I feel like it always ends up coming towards an FSG discussion, because I just think it's the biggest discussion that Liverpool fans can have at the moment. And for me, I'm keen to get all of your opinions, but I'll start with Anthony on this one. When it comes to, Bellingham, a part of that Neil Jones article is said that it's understood Jude Bellingham would be more than interested in the move to Merseyside, which I think we all knew anyway. Like, I don't think that's breaking news particularly, but it's Liverpool want to wait a year for him. I think a lot of people straight away interpret that as FSG don't want to spend until next year on him, whereas it could very well just be Jurgen Klopp and his team sat down, taking it all in and just thinking like, well, no, it's fine. We'll wait. That's no problem with us. So what is your thoughts on that? Do you feel like it's FSG that are tightening their purse? They're, trying to keep giving us the same thing over and over again. Like, oh yeah, next year we'll spend big. Next year we'll bring in a midfielder. A lot of people feel like that's been happening for too long. Or is it a bit more subtle than that? Is Klopp an active participant in this, and should we trust him?
I guess we'll never know it really, but I feel like it's always got to go down to FSG. It's the same thing every summer, like you were saying, especially last summer. I think that was the one time I kind of thought in my head, I'm going to remember this. We're here now next summer, and we've not even spent 100 million. So supposed they're going to spend break the bank or whatever for some big players. We signed one big player in Nunes, and that's it. Obviously, Carvalho, they're good signings, and we did need a backup right back, but it's so obvious we need a midfielder. We needed one last season, and look what happened. I think 18-19 season was the one transfer window where you could say that was a great window. We sort of redeveloped the squad, and that actually brought the bank. And it's not saying we need to do that every single summer, but when there's problems there, you need to solve them. And it's not like we're asking for 3 or 4 players. It's just one extra player. It's not that deep. I know it's 100 million for Bellingham, but just break the bank for him. If you sign him this summer, because if we do wait till next summer and we don't win a league title and we miss out by a point or so, and you can see the midfield's an issue, then it'll come back to that thing of Klopp's won one league title in 7 or 8 years here. It's going to be sad. Obviously, we know the job Klopp's had is not been easy, and obviously didn't start off with a title winning team and unlimited funds. But it's just annoying to hear one league title, one Champions League when he sort of deserves more, and I think obviously as fans we sort of deserve more. But for what he's done at the club, he deserves more trophies to show for that.
I mean, Arnov, I'll come back to you on this one. I just feel like Klopp, although we all think of him as a very nice guy, and maybe he does just get on with the job no matter what, but for him to actually sign on an extension of his contract, I don't think he would have done it if he felt like he was being held back by the ownership, or he didn't feel like he was being backed enough. Is it fair? Because ultimately nobody knows. I feel like we've all jumped to this conclusion based on what we think we know, which is that FSG are tight sods and don't want to invest massively when we feel like we need it. But is that fair? Could Klopp be an active part of it and is more than happy with it and trusts the squad that he's got?
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think Jurgen does have a lot to say, especially now with Bellingham. I think he's probably told FSG that, look, let's sign Darwin first and break the bank for him, and give Bellingham some time, because he probably does want to give him another season playing at Dortmund. Because I think last season we saw it as well. Even during the season, Bellingham, he didn't have like problems like attitude too much, but there were some a bit of tension that came out, especially in some games where
The
his
Rangers
reactions
game, I
were
remember.
highlighted all over. Yeah, and also there was a game he screamed at Nico Schultz mid-game, and the cameras all caught it. There's a big thing on social media. So I think if we give Bellingham another season, I think he'll be Klopp will see him more and have more of a take more of a holistic approach in seeing if he is the best option. But obviously, like as fans, like we want to see the players come in as soon as possible. But I think that can having spent 90 million on Nunes, which was a lot of money. I think how much we spent. I think I do trust Klopp in waiting, and I don't think it is an FSG thing to spend 200 million on two players basically. So I think we'll give it another season, and I think Jurgen's got as much to do in that, just as Enzo.
Yeah, Matty, I'll come to you on this one as well. Finally, I feel like you're always quite level-headed when it comes to the whole FSG thing. You don't particularly scream either way. Again, on this whole topic, you've said that you're very willing to wait for Jude if they think he's absolutely the right person. But in general, with these signings and with these supposed promises that FSG have given to fans, is it all FSG who are to blame for this?
I'd rather my football club run properly than fueled by oil money, to be honest. I'm not a massive lover of FSG, but if you look at it in the bigger picture, they've given us probably the best training facilities in the league. They've extended our home. I didn't want a new stadium. I wanted them to extend Anfield. There's too much heritage there, and like my granddad and all that went to Anfield. Like there's just too much there that I just didn't want it to go. So they've extended Anfield. So what FSG are doing is creating more revenue for Liverpool by like extending the stands and making more longevity out of the club. Our facilities are probably the best in the league, or Tottenham's potentially. I know United's are terrible now, and theirs used to be one of the best. So I'm not too bothered about FSG, to be honest with you. I'd really like Jude Bellingham this summer, but I think Sadio Mane's mate, PR agent, whatever he was, just debunked what everyone thinks about wages, because everyone said Mane was on X amount and he was nowhere near that amount of money. He's like a player with Sadio Mane, you think he's on that much money. Now, just a quick little search on Companies House shows you that Mo Salah's got like 7 million in the bank. Now, he got a lot of sponsors and stuff, but the money that we see, we don't know. We don't see the contract. We don't see what goes into their bank. We don't know. Like, say, Fabinho, for example, he doesn't pay tax, so does he earn a little bit less than others and stuff like that? Like, they probably all got banks in Monaco. They probably all earn more than what you think. And I think Mane's PR person debunked all that. So could we afford Jude Bellingham? He's 18. If he come in saying he wants 400 grand a week, then I don't want him playing for Liverpool. I want people who want to play for the club for the badge, not for the money. Liverpool, by the sounds of it, offer a lot of bonus incentive wages, and that I like that. If someone comes and signs and if you basically say to them, if you want to earn that much money, you play and make us win.
Yeah, sure.
And that's how it should be. And look at Liverpool over the past few seasons. Man City have continued to spend. They've just spent nearly 45 million on a backup, because Calvin Phillips isn't the Lodge and Rodri. So they're spending that on a backup. Now, and they're all on mad money, but look at Jack Grealish at City. He was awful. He's on mad money. He doesn't need to play. He still got his money. What happened to Bale at Real Madrid? He got that much money, just chilled and thought, well, I'm not going to leave you until it runs out. So I'm happy with the wage structure. I'm happy with the way the club's run. Living through the Gillette and Hicks days was dark. So seeing Liverpool run in a profit successfully, knowing that it's going to be a longevity of the club. Too many football clubs are getting points deducted for mad spending anyway. Eventually, it'll bite City on the arse. You know it will. It's obvious. It's going to come out eventually. And when they get bored of the little toy, they'll sell it and go back with all the money to Dubai. That's what they'll do. It's just, I'm not bothered about FSG. They can stay, they can go. If they sell us, I just hope it's not to some money. As much as it'd be nice to see a new sign every summer, I can't be bothered. I'd rather players who want to play for the club and play for the badge. It's Liverpool Football Club. You come to play for us, you don't come to earn a payday. And that's the same for Salah as well. If he's money or not, and go. You play for Liverpool, you don't play for money.
I think this is a great question from Alan, and I think it's great enough to end the show on if we sort of quick fire it through all three of you. And I'll start again with you, Matty. if we, I think we've almost convinced ourselves, well, if it's not this season, it's next season. We're getting Bellingham either way. But what if it doesn't happen? What if next season he ends up going to Real Madrid and it comes out that we really lowballed them. We weren't up for a fight transfer fee wise. Say it was all agreed personally, but that we just weren't up for paying the fee. Would that change anything? Would that push you one way or the other?
I'm certain Jude Bellingham plays for Liverpool. I'm certain.
All right. You're impossible. You're impossible to break. Arnov, give me something on this one.
Oh, it would be a massive shock if we didn't sign Jude Bellingham next season. And the solution to that, if we didn't, I don't know. I think the buck stops at Bellingham. We have to sign him, especially if we get no one this summer.
I think the important thing to Louis is, though, that Jude Bellingham wants to play for Liverpool. It's like the worst kept secret.
He wants to come.
He wants to come. It's been, I think, did Neil Jones say today he'd choose Liverpool? There was a few reports yesterday he'd choose Liverpool over anyone. He wants to play for Liverpool. His idol was Gerrard. Now, he defo was screaming Gerrard in his head hitting that ball on the playground 100% because everyone was who watched us at that time. I know he's a Birmingham fan, but I think his family have a lying affection for Liverpool. And if he went somewhere else and it was money based, then again, I don't want him at the club if he's going to play for money. But I think Jude Bellingham's done. It just hasn't been announced. And I think he'll still come this summer. Go and watch the video and you'll see why it's realistic as well.
Funnily enough, I've got a video coming out in the coming days about why Liverpool cannot sign Jude Bellingham. So make sure you do stick around and check that out as well as a little counterpoint, because we are the channel of points and counterpoints, left, right, and centre. But this is a hypothetical question, Anthony. Maybe it is done. Maybe there's an agreement already in place. But worst comes to worst, Real Madrid come in and bamboozle Dortmund, something we can't bother to compete with, and he goes and signs for them. What does that mean for you and your relationship with FSG, not with the club, but with the owners?
I mean, it's not really a bad thing with FSG, I guess. The only reason he's going to choose Madrid over us is because of money. There's no way a player looks at Real Madrid and thinks, or especially an English player, looks at Real Madrid and thinks, oh, I want to go there over Liverpool. And you could clearly see what we're doing. Obviously, Real Madrid have got solid depth in midfield. They probably don't even need him. But it's like true money. My head just won't accept that they're going to move to Real Madrid ahead of Liverpool, especially with Bellingham. I think Real Madrid have gave us a few heartbreaks over the years, so they just need to let us along with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely something to be said with the facts that Bellingham is English, whereas Tchouaméni French on the continent. I just feel like Real Madrid have a bit more of a pull there, whereas with English players, I feel like the Premier League is always sort of the be all and end all, perhaps, and hopefully that works in our favour.
Surely British players look at Gareth Bale. Like Gareth Bale genuinely was unbelievable for Real Madrid. He won them that final in Kiev, being serious as well. Like, he was unbelievable for Real Madrid. They still had the white hankies out for him. They wanted him gone for years, but he was probably one of the best players they had. So surely some English players look at that and think, do I really want to go there?
I mean, they didn't even always like Ronaldo, did they?
No,
there was always falling outs with Ronaldo.
No, I don't think that the La Liga pulls there anymore. Like, it's not. I think German's stronger than Spain at the minute in terms of domestic football.
I think
Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think Real Madrid and Barcelona are two teams that, even at the time they are now, I think it takes a lot for a player to be convinced to join another team. Like, even with Tchouaméni, we were linked with him for a long time, for a while, and he chose. Obviously, it's different, but I do think we'll sign Bellingham, but I wouldn't discount the pull of Real Madrid or Barcelona. Really, I would never do that.
He's dreamed of winning the Premier League, though. He has 100%. Every kid in England has grew up dreaming of winning the Premier League and Champions League. He hasn't dreamed of winning the La Liga Santander.
La Liga. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like I feel like it's just different with English players as opposed to Europeans or South Americans. I think there's yeah, you know, more of a drive to get into the Premier League, the top of the English pyramid. But no, I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up. It's been another great fun stream and a great Transfer Central as well, with lots of news coming in thick and fast on the Transfer Central. Thank you very much to Matty, Arnov and Anthony. Great fun as always. Thank you to everybody getting involved and chatting in the live chat as well. We will be back again tomorrow, 7:30, live chat room with myself. That'll be great fun as well. I'm keen to continue some of the conversations had here today, particularly around FSG. So do join me for that. And then Transfer Central again on Wednesday. So you don't have long to wait for that, and plenty of content all the way up until the season starts, when we can really crank it up again. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for getting involved. Please do like the video if you haven't done so already. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, you can become a member if you would like to get some exclusive badges next to your names to show your support, and of course, support the channel and all the content that we make. We don't take a single penny out. It all goes back into creating brilliant content, and we've got lots planned in the future. So thank you again for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.